If I asked you how important it is to you that you feel like you belong, how would you respond? On a scale of 1 to 10, how important is a sense of belonging to you at Crosby Middle School? Chances are nearly every middle school student would be anywhere from an 8 to a 10, making the claim that a sense of belonging truly matters to them. In fact, researchers have indicated a strong sense of belonging to one's school community is a key indicator of future success in and out of school. So, if this is true, we as a school community must ask ourselves, how do students at Crosby Middle School truly feel? Can students say they feel like they belong? They know that they belong. Interestingly enough, tens of thousands of middle school students across the country were asked through various surveys on this topic, do they feel like they belong in their school communities? Sadly, the national average indicated that 29% of middle school students reported a weak or negative sense of belonging within their school community. And you and I may hear that statistic and we may say, well, 29% is pretty low when compared to 71% stating they feel like they do belong. But let's think again. This means nearly 1/3 of a student population in their school community feels like they do not belong. That should matter. In fact, let's look at the data from another perspective. 71% of students are either unaware of this 29%, or worse, 71% is aware but does not care. You know, no school is perfect. Crosby Middle School is not perfect. We can, in fact, relate to these national data trends when it comes to a sense of belonging. Based on last year's school comprehensive plan, over 30% of our Crosby students claimed they did not have a strong sense of belonging. You know, we are not okay with 1/3 of our students feeling like they do not belong, feeling like their voices are not heard, feeling like they are not understood. And again, we may not be perfect, but we are a family at Crosby Middle School. And a good, healthy family. They work together because they're brothers and they're sisters unto one another. This is the Crosby way. You know, all in all the time is our Crosby slogan. And to be all in, it's going to cost us something. It might cost our time so we can go that extra mile. It may cost us our pride as we open our minds and our hearts to realize we don't have everything together and we don't know everything. It may require us to be vulnerable at times as we place others before ourselves. So to be all in all the time, it isn't easy, but it is always a choice. So we are asking today as you listen to choose to get on our bus. Choose to listen to today's conversations about belonging because we care about 100% of our students at Crosby. Choose today to be vulnerable, to put your phones down during this Google Meet when you ought to be listening. Choose to take that risk and know your Crosby family is here, not to judge, but to be a caring, listening family. Because that is being all in all the time. You know, Valentine's Day is approaching, and this Valentine's Day in 1967, Aretha Franklin, many of you might know her, the Queen of Soul, she became an icon for women worldwide. Her hit song, Respect, took the air and it became a top chart in a matter of months. But if you and I were to dig deeper about her inspiration for writing this, it actually came from another singer-songwriter named Otis Redding. You see, Otis Redding crafted his own song, Respect. But this reinforced in his lyrics a more traditional family structure of the time, which was this. Are you ready? Man works all day, brings home money to wife, and demands her respect in return. And Aretha had a different take on her version, and it blew Otis Redding's structure to bits. She goes as far as to spell R-E-S-P-E-C-T with backup singers and their clever interplay. Her arrangement became an anthem and a transformative movement in the women's rights movement and the civil rights movement. If you are familiar with the song, some of the lyrics read, "Ooh, your kisses, sweeter than honey, and guess what? So was my money." You know, in context, Aretha was wanting to be known that a woman can work and support her family just like a man can. Her lyrics capture this aspect of a desire for a healthy relationship and a demand to be understood as she searches for her sense of belonging in her own home. Imagine we could take her lyrics and say also the opposite, right? If her man never came to appreciate her work, then his kisses would not mean anything. And over time, I imagine that relationship, if it remained the course, would suffer because she was never understood. So again, if there is no sense of belonging in a community, trust diminishes. And without trust, there is no authenticity in a relationship. The same is true for a community like Crosby. When 30% of our students feel like they do not belong, that matters to us. So know today, every single one of you has our respect, and we want to listen to you. A personal challenge when I think about a sense of belonging that I hold myself to at the start of every year is to memorize every student's first and last name. And if I fail to get their name correctly by the second week, I have to stop teaching whatever I'm doing. This can be the hallway of my class, and I have to stop and give that student 5 push-ups. I remember one year I had about 50 push-ups in the course of the day, and the next day my muscles were so sore I could barely even raise my hand. But for me, this push-up challenge is symbolic of a student finding his or her sense of belonging, as I'm willing to show how important each student is to me, and knowing them truly matters. And I believe a community is only at its best when all members feel like they are known and that they belong. You know, I don't know about you, but one of my top 5 movies is Disney's Remember the Titans. It is based on a true story of an African-American coach named Herman Boone and his attempt to integrate T.C. Williams High School football team in Alexandria, Virginia. And the setting, just so you know, is during the 1970s when racial tension is growing in some places of our nation as black students and white students are now merging schools. So, a little back history, before Coach Boone, there was Coach Bill Yost, who was white. And the white folk in the community were loyal to a fault for Yost, and they were outraged when they learned that he was replaced by the school board by Coach Boone. The school board offered Yost to be an assistant under Boone, and at first, Coach Yost was ready to pack his bags and go find a new coaching gig. But when he learned that some of the former players were ready to quit the team because he wasn't going to be the head coach, Yost saw this as an opportunity to teach his players something. So he continued to coach as an assistant. And in the midst of racial tension and this newly formed team, Coach Boone and Coach Yost take the team on a retreat to Gettysburg College. And it's during this camp that they require, as soon as they arrive, for the black and white students to sit next to one another on the bus. And even a step further, when they get to the camp, they are required to room with a member of the opposite race. The teammates were anything but kind to one another as fights break out just because of the color of skin. And when all hope seems lost at this retreat, there is a turning point in a late night scrimmage. You see, the former white captain of the team, Gary Bertier, realizes his fellow white defensive lineman, number 87, Ray, isn't blocking as he should. Play after play goes by as Gary's black teammate, Petey, is sacked over and over and over. Realizing his team isn't getting anywhere because of Ray, Bertier confronts his fellow white teammate. And when it seems like a fight is about to ignite, and Coach Boone and Coach Yost look at each other, they kind of hold the coaches back and they decide to let him have it out. The next play is set, the ball is snapped, and you know what, my words don't do justice, so let's just see what Ray decides to do. Is he all in all the time for his team, or is he only thinking about himself?
What was that, Ray? Whatever it is, it ain't blocking.
Give me a break.
You want a break? I'll give you a break. Me and Julius.
Wait a minute. Just let them
You
handle
get to
this.
rev once, just one time. I swear to God, I'm gonna hit you so hard by the time you come to. Ooh, boy, you're gonna need a new haircut. You understand me? Let's play, fellas.
On the ball, let's run it again.
Let's go, everybody. Let's go. All right. My side. Come on, me.
You all right, Big Petey? You all right?
You really stuck him, Campbell.
Yeah, I love me a little contact, Petey.
Left side.
Strong side.
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 Ah!
Me, you get goosebumps no matter how many times you watch this movie. This scene, in fact, to me embodies what it means to belong. To belong means you feel understood. To belong means your brothers and sisters have your back no matter what. To belong means that you are not afraid of failure because you are given the opportunity to be picked up by your teammates. So belonging is an attitude, and it's an attitude of being humble, to place others before yourself. It also requires a willingness to confront one another in love so your community can be at its best. In light of this, a sense of belonging is twofold. The first is it's a respect for one another, and the second is it's an upholding of this united vision and mission within a community. And for us at Crosby, it is about being all in all the time. It's not about 30%, 70%, it is about 100%. You know, what made the Titans a football team to remember wasn't so much the fact that they ended up winning a state championship. The Titans, in my opinion, will remember for overcoming adversity, all because of their united vision and mission together. They, in fact, were changing the community so much so that people no longer would see one another as black or white. They were seeing one another as brother and sister. And I wish I could sit here today and tell you that our world has changed over time and moved past racial tension, religious wars, and other stereotypes that divide us, but we all know that is not the case. I truly believe, however, that within every human soul there is a hope that never fades, as small as it may be. There is this deep, deep desire for healing. A desire to be known, a desire to be understood, to feel respected. And it's with that sense of hope I challenge each of us to travel this road today as we reflect. And when we do so, we are more apt to respect one another with sincerity. At Crosby, our community, again, is only at its best when we find that sense of belonging and we take action towards our vision mission. So my question to you today is, will you follow? Will you get on our bus? Because we care about the 30%, we care about the 70%, we care about everyone. So if you are a student listening, a teacher, an administrator, support staff, cafeteria worker, bus driver, I challenge you right now to mentally think, how much of our school community do you truly know? I'm willing to bet that your list might, revolve around your closest friends or those that have the same interest as you. And that's a good thing. But I'm also willing to bet that there's some, when I pose that question, who have a blank. There's no name to write on their list. There's no fact to identify about them that makes them unique. And they're wondering the same for them. Does anyone know me? So as you listen, maybe you're that 30% and you feel like you don't belong. Maybe you're that 70% and you've never bothered to look around and wonder who the 30% are. Either way, you matter and you belong. So I ask you students, what about those more quiet students in our classes? Those students who maybe haven't participated since September. How much do you know about them? Teachers, how much do you know about them? What about the students who seem different from us? How much have we taken the time to not let what we see on the surface determine what we know about them and dig deeper? What about the students who seem to be carrying a weight on their shoulders, a weight that we cannot fully know but feel? What about them? And I ask this, what if, like dream with me on this, but what if our Crosby community could be the difference for every single student? What if our smiles, what if our high fives, our hugs, our notes of encouragement, what if those simple things could bring down these walls of opposition and adversity? Because if the world needs healing, which it does, you and I have the power to change the world one person at a time as we build upon this sense of belonging at Crosby. So as you're listening, after this video, you will be given the opportunity to unleash your feelings about our school community. And we want each of you to be authentic. We want you to truly express the good, the bad, the ugly about how we're doing as a school community to make sure 100% of our students feel like their voices are heard, because we want you to belong. We will not take this information and make it a chart just so we can look at it. We know that names will be attached to numbers, and that is going to matter to us. And we're going to dig deeper, we're going to listen, and we're going to follow up. So in addition to this, as you're listening, we want each of you students to know about unique opportunities, in case you don't know, that we have going on now, even during NTI, as you find your place to belong. We currently offer about 25 clubs that are virtual, and if you've never signed up for a club and you would like information on how to join, please, please, please visit our Student Hub website and get a parent or guardian to help fill that form out so we can get you connected today. Maybe you happen to be free on Fridays around 2 p.m. and we would love for you to tune into our weekly talent shows. And each season features something different in a theme. So join us as we watch a lot of students celebrate their creativity and voices within our school. We also have our Counselors Corner on the Crosby Hub website, and we would love to connect you with a school counselor so that you know you are being listened to. They are here for you to support you with anything that you need. And you can always reach out to your Crosby teachers or a peer that you look up to and trust, whether you know them well or not. So again, as you complete this Google form, might you know Crosby is not perfect, but nor is family. And we're a family. But we're a family that strives to be healthy as we place students first. So we want to hear from you as you take this opportunity to reflect about our school community, about how we're doing and how we can be better, because again, it's not about 30%, 70%, it is about 100%, as we all strive to make this a school community where students belong. So thanks for listening, and remember, we are all in all the time.